Most people live every day being the same version of themselves, thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, and wondering why nothing in their life changes. They feel stuck, frustrated, or just bored, but they don't realize they're caught in a cycle. A routine version of themselves is running the show. If you've ever felt like you're not moving forward, even though you want more for your life, this is for you. The truth is, your future isn't shaped by luck or talent. It's shaped by what you do today, by the way you think, the decisions you make, and the habits you repeat. And if you want a different life, you have to stop waiting for the right time to change. You have to break the habit of being the person you've always been and start choosing right now who you're willing to become. This video isn't about overnight success. It's about building a life you're proud of. Step by step, day by day, you'll learn how to stop letting your past decide your future, how to choose discipline over distraction, and how to take control of your direction instead of drifting through life. You'll get real, honest, practical steps that you can use immediately, not someday, but today. So if you're ready to stop settling, if you're tired of feeling stuck, and if you want to build a version of yourself that's stronger, sharper, and more focused, keep watching. What you do with today matters more than you think. This could be the start of everything changing. Chapter 1. Recognize who you are and stop pretending now. You've spent a long time becoming the person you think the world wants to see. Maybe it started when you were young, when approval felt like survival. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You stayed quiet when you knew you were right. You agreed to things that made you uncomfortable. Over time, that pretending became a habit. And after enough years of doing it, you stopped noticing it. You believed that version of yourself was real. But deep down, something kept tugging at you. A quiet discomfort. A sense that you were drifting away from something important, yourself. The first step to real change is not changing the world or your circumstances. It's facing the truth of who you are when no one is watching. The real you. Not the version shaped by expectations or fears, not the one trying to please people or avoid rejection, but the raw, unfiltered you, the one who holds your real potential. And you don't need to invent that version. You just need to stop hiding from it. You have to stop pretending, because pretending is exhausting. It costs energy every day. And more than that, it keeps you stuck. Growth is impossible when you're not being honest. And that's the hardest truth most people avoid. You can't change a lie. You can only change something when you admit it's real. Recognizing who you are is not about judging yourself. It's about understanding. It's not about being ashamed of your flaws. It's about seeing them clearly so they no longer control you. Most people run from this because they're afraid of what they might find. But the pain of living in denial is worse than the pain of honesty. Denial keeps you small. Honesty sets you free. So how do you begin? You start by removing the noise. Take one day. No distractions, no scrolling, no background noise to numb your mind. Just you and silence. And in that silence, ask yourself one simple question. Am I being real? Not sometimes, not when it's easy, but all the time, in your relationships, in your work, in how you speak, in how you carry yourself. Notice where you shrink to keep others comfortable. Notice where you say yes just to avoid conflict. Notice how often you pretend things are fine when they aren't. That's the beginning of self-awareness, and self-awareness is the foundation of all growth. Without it, you're walking through life with your eyes closed. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. And being real doesn't mean being aggressive or loud. It means acting in a way that aligns with what you really think and believe. It means not hiding your true values just to fit in. It means trusting your instincts more than the approval of strangers. Most people don't realize how often they betray themselves. They think people-pleasing is kindness. It's not. It's fear. It's a quiet way of saying, I don't believe I'm enough as I am. But the truth is, you are. You just have to stop hiding behind who you think you're supposed to be. There is strength in being honest. When you speak your truth, you stand taller. When you live your truth, you sleep better. When you stop pretending, your mind becomes clearer. Decisions become easier. Your relationships become deeper, because you're not negotiating with yourself anymore. You're not putting on a show. You're just showing up as you are. And that's powerful. And don't wait for the world to give you permission. You'll be waiting forever. Stop thinking you need more confidence before you can be yourself. Confidence is not the starting point, it's the result. It comes after you choose to be authentic, not before. Every time you choose honesty over image, you get stronger. Every time you choose your values over approval, you get freer, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. The world respects people who are real, even if they don't always agree with them. Pretending might make you liked, but authenticity earns you respect. So take inventory. Look at your daily life. Look at how you speak. Look at the people around you. Are they seeing the real you, or the safe version? Are you saying what you mean, or what you think they want to hear? Are you building a life that reflects your truth, or are you performing every day just to be accepted? These questions are not easy. They require honesty, and most of all, they require courage. But your life won't change until you stop pretending. Your energy won't return until you stop living in conflict with yourself. When you finally recognize who you are, something shifts. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You stop begging people to see your worth. You stop overthinking every word you say because you're no longer trying to play a part. You've chosen to just be, and that peace is what most people spend their lives searching for. Some people won't like the real you. That's okay. They were never meant for you. Some people will be surprised when you stop agreeing with everything they say. That's okay too. You're not here to be easy to manage. You're here to live your truth. And when you do, the right people will find you. The right opportunities will open up, not because you forced them, but because you stopped resisting who you really are. The habit of being someone else is deeply wired. It's been built over years, but you can break it one choice at a time. Start small. Speak up when you'd normally stay quiet. Set a boundary when you feel your energy being drained. Say no without guilt. Say yes to something you believe in, even if it scares you. These small acts create momentum, and that momentum becomes a new habit. It's not about changing overnight. It's about returning to yourself, one honest action at a time. And every time you do, you reclaim a little more power. You feel more grounded, more real, more you. This journey won't always be easy. There will be moments when pretending feels safer. There will be times when being real feels risky. But the reward is worth it. The peace that comes from self-respect is something no approval can match. You don't need more advice. You need more truth. You don't need a new version of yourself. You need to stop running from the one that's already there. And you won't find yourself in books or quotes or opinions. You'll find yourself in stillness, in honesty, in silence, in that space where no one else is watching and it's just you, bare, unsure, unpolished, but real. From that space, everything changes. Because from that space, you can finally build a life that's yours. A life you don't have to escape from. A life where you don't feel like an actor playing a part. That kind of life starts today. Not with a big breakthrough, but with one real moment. One honest word. One decision to stop pretending. That's how it starts. And every time you choose truth over comfort, your world gets stronger. Your mind gets clearer. Your relationships get deeper. And you begin to feel what most people have forgotten. What it feels like to be free. Free to speak. Free to act. Free to walk into any room without shrinking. Free to be seen fully without fear. That freedom is not out there. It's not in success or popularity. It's not in perfection or performance. It's already inside you, buried under layers of pretending. And today is the day you start peeling them off. Not all at once, just enough to breathe. Just enough to feel. Just enough to remember who you are underneath it all. Because when you remember that, you stop chasing approval. You stop playing small. You stop wasting time. You start showing up. You start choosing. You start living. And you finally become someone you can believe in. Chapter 2. Take full responsibility for everything in your life. Most people spend their lives waiting for something to change. They wait for others to treat them better. They wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait for the pain to disappear. But what they don't realize is that waiting is a decision. It's a decision to give away your power. The truth is hard to swallow for most, but it's the truth that sets you free. Your life is exactly what you allow it to be. The moment you stop blaming, the moment you stop pointing fingers, the moment you stop saying if only, that's the moment your life starts to change. It's easier to blame others. It's easier to tell yourself a story where you're the victim. It's easier to believe that your problems are someone else's fault. But none of those things will make your life better. They'll just keep you trapped. If your happiness depends on other people changing, you'll never be free. You'll always be at the mercy of circumstances you can't control. And that's no way to live. Taking full responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything that went wrong. It's about accepting that your life is yours to shape. No one is coming to fix it. No one is going to carry you forward. It's your job to get honest, get focused, and do the work. You can't control the past, but you can control what you do next. That's all you need. That's where your strength lives. Some people spend years angry at their parents, their past, their partners, their bosses, their luck. But anger without action just becomes bitterness. And bitterness will eat away at your energy, your focus, your confidence. You don't owe anyone forgiveness, but you owe yourself freedom. And that freedom begins when you stop handing out responsibility for your life like it's someone else's job. When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting. You stop complaining. You stop making excuses. You start asking better questions. Instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" you start asking, "What can I do about it?" That question changes everything. It shifts your focus from the problem to the solution, from powerlessness to action. Some days, life will hit you hard. You'll face things you didn't ask for. You'll be hurt by people you trusted. You'll face setbacks that don't feel fair. But even in those moments, you have a choice. You can fall into self-pity, or you can rise into responsibility. No one else will care about your life the way you should. No one else will do the inner work for you. No one else will fight for your future if you won't. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to do it all alone. It means you stop waiting for others to fix what's broken. It means you stop blaming your personality, your past, your fears. Those things may explain where you are, but they don't get to decide where you're going. You can carry your pain without letting it define you. You can feel disappointed without choosing to stay stuck. You might not have had control over how your story started, but you do have control over how it continues. Every habit you form, every choice you make, every word you speak, those are your tools. That's how you take your life into your own hands. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stop running from the responsibility of asking the right questions. People will tell you to love yourself, but they don't tell you the hard part. Real self-love begins with self-responsibility. It means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It means showing up for your life even when things are hard. It means keeping your promises to yourself. It means facing the truth about what you've avoided for too long. That's not punishment. That's power. That's how you become someone you can trust. You don't grow by avoiding responsibility. You grow by stepping into it, by making peace with the fact that no one else is going to do your healing. No one else is going to build your discipline. No one else is going to take your goals seriously if you won't. Every day you get a choice to take control or to give it away, to act or to wait, to lead or to follow. Most people want different lives, but refuse to take different actions. That's where the cycle continues. But the moment you say, "I'm responsible," everything starts to move. Not because things magically change, but because your mindset does. You start seeing yourself not as someone stuck, but as someone capable. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop waiting to be saved. You become the one in charge. And that changes the way you think, speak, and show up every single day. This kind of mindset isn't for the faint-hearted. It demands honesty. It demands ownership. It demands discipline. But it gives you something back that's worth more than anything else: inner strength. The kind of strength that stays with you when things get hard. The kind that doesn't shake when others doubt you. The kind that makes you unstoppable, not because everything is easy, but because you've decided not to be a victim of your own life anymore. Some people will try to talk you out of this mindset. They'll say it's too harsh, that it's okay to blame sometimes, that responsibility is too heavy. But the truth is that freedom is on the other side of responsibility. You can't have both freedom and excuses. You have to choose. Do you want to feel sorry for yourself, or do you want to do something about it? That choice will define your life. There will be moments where it feels overwhelming, where taking full responsibility feels like too much. That's okay. You don't need to fix everything in one day. You just need to stop lying to yourself. You need to stop pretending that your inaction is anyone else's fault. You need to stop escaping with distractions and get honest about what you really want and what you're really doing to get it. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you won't fail. It means you own your failures and learn from them. It means you stop defending your limitations and start creating solutions. It means you're willing to be uncomfortable because you know that discomfort leads to growth. It means you trust yourself enough to try again, no matter how many times you've fallen. This is the mindset that separates the average from the exceptional. Not talent, not luck, not intelligence, but the willingness to say, "This is my life, and I will take full control of it." That mindset builds resilience. It builds clarity. It builds peace. Not because life gets easier, but because you stop running from your role in it. You don't owe anyone perfection, but you owe yourself the truth. And the truth is that you are capable of more than you've allowed. You have more in you than you've shown. You've just been hiding behind blame and waiting for permission. It ends today. Not because someone gave you the green light, but because you decided enough is enough. So take a look at your life. The good, the bad, the unfinished, the forgotten, the painful, the beautiful, all of it. And own it. Not with shame, not with guilt, but with courage. Say to yourself, "This is mine, and from this point on, I choose what happens next." That is the beginning of a new story, a story where you're no longer surviving, but leading, no longer hoping, but building, no longer stuck, but moving forward on your own terms. That's what it means to take full responsibility. It's not a burden, it's a declaration. A decision to stop living by chance and start living by choice. And when you make that decision, everything starts to change. Not all at once, but slowly, steadily, and powerfully, because this time the change is real. Chapter 3. Question your daily routines and choose better ones. Every day begins the same way, whether we notice it or not. We wake up, we follow the same patterns, we respond to life without thinking, and then we wonder why nothing changes. Most people live on autopilot, locked into a loop of routines they didn't choose consciously. They do what they've always done, not because it works, but because it's familiar. And if you never stop to question those routines, you end up trapped inside a life that doesn't reflect who you truly are or who you could become. The truth is, your daily routines shape your future. What you do every day is who you are becoming. That's not just a motivational idea, it's a practical reality. The things you repeat are the things you reinforce. The way you start your day, how you respond to stress, what you feed your mind, how you speak to yourself, how you end your evenings, these choices compound over time, and if you're not intentional about them, they take on a life of their own. It's easy to blame big problems for why you feel stuck, but often the problem isn't massive, it's subtle. It's hidden in the quiet, unnoticed choices that you make when you're not paying attention. You check your phone before your feet hit the floor. You scroll through distractions instead of setting intentions. You react to your day instead of leading it, and that becomes your pattern. Not because you're lazy, but because you never questioned it. You never paused long enough to ask, does this serve me? Does this help me grow? Is this how I want to live? The most dangerous routines are the ones that feel normal, but quietly drain your potential. They're not painful enough to feel urgent, but they're powerful enough to keep you average. That's why awareness is the first step. You can't improve what you don't observe. You need to stop and look at your habits with clear, honest eyes, not with shame, not with excuses, but with curiosity and clarity. Start by writing down your day as it really is, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. Every hour, every action, every distraction. Not how you wish it looked, but how it actually unfolds. That exercise alone is revealing. Most people realize they're wasting more time than they thought. They're carrying more stress than they realized. They're making choices that don't match their values. Once you see it, you can change it. But change doesn't come from adding more to your plate. It comes from replacing what isn't working with what does. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one night. You just need to swap one routine at a time. If your mornings are filled with noise and chaos, start your day with 10 minutes of stillness. If you're constantly reacting to messages and notifications, set blocks of time where your phone is out of reach. If your evenings leave you drained, shut off the noise earlier and create a quiet space to reset your mind. This isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. Are your routines aligned with your goals? Are they helping you become stronger, clearer, more focused? Or are they numbing you, distracting you, and keeping you stuck in cycles of short-term comfort? The answer will be different for everyone, but the responsibility to ask the question is the same. Choosing better routines isn't always exciting. It often feels uncomfortable. You'll have to break patterns that felt safe. You'll have to push back against laziness and resistance. You'll have to act before you feel ready. But that discomfort is the price of growth. That tension is where transformation happens, not in the motivation you feel for a moment, but in the structure you build for a lifetime. And don't expect the people around you to understand. When you start changing your routines, you might get questioned. You might be told you're taking life too seriously. But the people who say that are usually the ones afraid to change themselves. Stay focused. Stay grounded in your reason. You're not doing this for applause. You're doing this to build a life that reflects your real values. Discipline is not a restriction. It's freedom. A strong routine gives you clarity. It removes the need to make decisions based on emotion. It puts your day on rails so you can spend less time wondering and more time doing. You won't always feel motivated. That's exactly why routine matters. You won't always feel clear. That's why structure is powerful. It holds you up when your willpower fades. But you have to choose those routines consciously. You have to decide what kind of person you want to be, and then ask yourself, what would that version of me do every day? If you want to be healthy, what does your routine say about your choices? If you want to be focused, what distractions are you still allowing? If you want to build something meaningful, how much time are you giving to shallow entertainment? The questions are simple. The answers are direct. But the commitment to follow through is what separates those who grow from those who stay the same. It's not about getting it all right at once. It's about starting where you are, choosing one area to shift, and staying with it long enough to see the result. Routines become powerful when they're repeated with purpose. Don't just go through the motions. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Know what it's leading you toward. And when something no longer works, be honest enough to change it. That's how you stay in control. That's how you build a life that grows with you. There's nothing exciting about wasting time. There's nothing strong about living passively. Every time you choose a routine that builds you, you choose strength over comfort. You choose intention over chaos. You choose a better life over a familiar one. And that choice, repeated daily, changes everything. It's not the big moments that define you. It's the quiet, consistent ones. The early mornings when you rise without applause, the focused hours when no one's watching. The repeated choices that don't feel dramatic, but build the foundation for everything else. That's where real change lives. No one is coming to build your routines for you. That's your job, and that's your opportunity. You don't need a better schedule. You need better decisions. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more clarity in how you use them. You don't need a dramatic breakthrough. You need to stop pretending that your current routines are fine if they're not. Question them. Break them. Replace them. Upgrade them. There's no prize for sticking to habits that make you weaker. There's no reward for staying comfortable at the cost of your potential. You know what's not working. You feel it in your body. You hear it in your thoughts. You carry it in the tension that builds when you ignore your own standards. That discomfort is a message. Listen to it. Today can be the beginning of something new. Not because you wait for perfect timing, but because you finally stop lying to yourself about what needs to change. It starts with a decision. A clear, honest, personal decision that you will no longer let your routines control your future. You will take control. You will shape your day. You will lead your life, and you will become someone your future self will be proud of, not by chance, but by choice. Chapter 4. Write down your flaws and face them honestly. Everyone has flaws, but most people spend their lives hiding from them. They distract themselves, justify their behavior, or shift the blame elsewhere. They tell stories that make their weaknesses seem acceptable, and over time, those stories turn into identities. But growth doesn't begin with pretending. Growth begins with truth. The kind of truth that feels uncomfortable. The kind of truth you'd rather not say out loud. If you're serious about changing your life, the first step is to stop lying to yourself. You must look at your flaws directly, without exaggerating, without minimizing, without covering them in excuses. It takes real courage to do this. Not because flaws are shameful, but because they demand honesty. When you finally sit down and write them out, not just think about them, but actually write them, you force yourself to look clearly at the habits, choices, and attitudes that have been holding you back. You stop generalizing and start being specific. You stop guessing and start seeing. You know what you struggle with. You know the behaviors that hurt your progress. You know the patterns that keep repeating. The hard part is admitting them in plain language, not dressed up, not softened, just the truth. Maybe you avoid difficult conversations because you fear rejection. Maybe you procrastinate because you doubt your ability. Maybe you compare yourself constantly because deep down you don't feel like you're enough. These things live quietly in the background until you call them out, and when you do, you take back control. Writing your flaws down is not an act of self-hate. It's an act of self-respect. It's a way of saying, I care enough about my future to face what's in my way. Because the truth is, your flaws aren't the real problem. Ignoring them is. When you leave them in the dark, they grow stronger. When you bring them into the light, you gain the power to change them. No one can do this for you. You have to be the one to sit with yourself in silence and take inventory. You have to be the one to say, this is where I keep messing up. This is where I shrink. This is where I react instead of respond. This is where I choose easy over right. This is the moment where growth begins, not when things feel good, but when you get honest about the parts of you that need work. And you don't need to fix everything overnight. That's not the point. The point is to face what's real without running. Some flaws are habits. Some are fears. Some are beliefs that were planted in you a long time ago. It doesn't matter where they came from. What matters is what you choose to do about them now. And that choice starts with clarity. Grab a pen, no distractions, no filters. Write without judgment. Write like no one's going to read it. Be raw, be specific. I get defensive when I feel wrong. I avoid challenges that make me feel insecure. I don't listen when I feel criticized. I give up too quickly. The more honest you are, the more power you gain, because you can't conquer what you won't admit. This process will be uncomfortable. You might feel exposed. You might feel disappointed. That's normal. Don't run from that feeling. Sit with it. Let it remind you that your standards matter, that your behavior matters, that your words and actions are shaping your life, whether you notice or not. And now that you do notice, you can do something about it. Some flaws will surprise you. Others will confirm what you already sensed. Either way, you'll see yourself more clearly than before. And that clarity is a gift. Most people go through life blind to their patterns. They keep repeating the same cycles because they never pause long enough to ask themselves why. But you're choosing differently. You're choosing to step back and reflect. That alone puts you ahead of most. But don't stop at awareness. Once you've written your flaws, ask yourself one powerful question. What's this flaw costing me? Be direct. Is it costing you trust, opportunity, energy, relationships, confidence? When you attach a cost to your flaws, you feel the weight of their impact. You stop treating them like harmless quirks. You see them as real barriers to the life you want. And then you ask the next question, what would my life look like without this? That's where your motivation begins. You visualize a version of yourself that responds with patience, speaks with clarity, acts with confidence, lives with discipline. That version of you isn't far away. It's just on the other side of a few hard decisions. Decisions you now have the awareness to make. Flaws are not permanent. They're patterns, and patterns can be broken, but only if you're willing to take responsibility for them. Not blame, not guilt. Responsibility. That means recognizing your part in the outcomes you don't like. It means seeing your reactions, your avoidance, your self-doubt, not as fixed traits, but as areas you can strengthen. That mindset alone changes everything. You don't become powerful by pretending you have no weaknesses. You become powerful by facing them directly and doing something about them. The strongest people are not the ones who hide their flaws. They're the ones who own them, learn from them, and outgrow them. And that begins with a decision to stop pretending and start facing the truth. This level of self-honesty isn't common. Most people avoid it their whole lives. They distract themselves with noise, numb themselves with entertainment, or convince themselves they're fine. But deep down they know they're not. They feel the quiet frustration, the restlessness, the sense that something is missing. That feeling is the gap between who they are and who they could be, and the only way to close that gap is to face the truth. When you do this, you'll notice a shift. You'll stop judging others so harshly because you're too focused on your own growth. You'll start holding yourself to a higher standard, not out of pressure, but out of pride. You'll stop chasing shallow improvements and start focusing on deep change. This process is ongoing. You won't outgrow all your flaws in a week. Some will return, some will evolve, some will resist your efforts. But the difference now is that you see them. You're no longer blind. And when you can see the pattern, you can interrupt it. You can respond instead of react. You can pause instead of spiral. You can shift direction before things fall apart. There is no shame in having flaws. The only shame is in refusing to face them. Your flaws do not define you. Your willingness to grow past them does. Every honest step you take builds strength. Every time you choose self-awareness over ego, you become someone worth trusting. Every time you act with integrity, even when no one sees, it shapes the kind of person you're becoming. You will never reach your full potential if you keep lying to yourself, and you will never be truly free if you stay trapped in denial. But when you choose the path of honesty, when you sit with your flaws and face them without fear, you give yourself something rare. You give yourself the chance to become whole. That's where the real power is. Not in being perfect, but in being real. Because real people can grow. Real people can change. Real people can build lives they're proud of. And it all starts with one act of courage. Writing down your flaws and facing them fully, honestly, and without looking away. Chapter 5. Track your choices and change what holds you back. Every day you're making choices that shape the direction of your life, whether you notice them or not. The big decisions might stand out, career moves, relationships, commitments, but it's the smaller ones, repeated over time, that quietly build your future. The way you start your mornings, the people you engage with, the habits you choose to maintain. These decisions seem small in the moment, but they accumulate and they create your results. If your life feels stuck or heavy or aimless, it's not because you lack potential. It's because certain choices are being made unconsciously and they're pulling you in the wrong direction. The only way to change your life is to start paying attention. Not casually, not once in a while, but consistently. You must observe yourself, not to judge, but to understand. That's the only way to interrupt the patterns that are working against you. If you want clarity, you have to track your choices, not just what you do, but when and why. Not just the outcome, but the emotion behind it. Awareness isn't just noticing behavior, it's learning from it. Start simple. At the end of the day, write down what you chose, what time you woke up, what you ate, how long you scrolled, who you spoke to, how you handled stress, where you avoided responsibility, where you stood up for yourself, where you shrank. These records are mirrors. They reflect not just your actions, but your priorities, your fears, and your comfort zones. And they don't lie. Most people live reactively. They do what feels easiest, and they wonder why they feel powerless. But if you take the time to document your choices, even for a week, you'll begin to see the decisions that are stealing your energy, wasting your time, and keeping you from the results you want. You'll notice how often you compromise your goals for temporary comfort, how frequently you say yes to distractions, how quickly you retreat when things get hard. And once you see those choices clearly, you can start replacing them. Change doesn't begin with doing more. It begins with doing different. But you can't do different until you understand what's currently happening. There are behaviors you think are harmless that are costing you momentum. There are routines you've accepted as normal that are quietly holding you back. They've become habits, not because they're useful, but because they're familiar. And familiarity breeds stagnation if left unexamined. When you track your actions, you start separating truth from story. You might believe you don't have time to work on your goals, but your records might reveal hours lost to mindless scrolling or unproductive conversations. You might think you're doing your best, but your patterns may show a series of avoidant choices. This kind of insight can sting, but it's also freeing, because once you see the truth, you're no longer controlled by guesswork. You can make intentional changes instead of emotional reactions. This practice requires discipline. It's easier to stay unaware. It's easier to go with the flow. But easy doesn't build strength. If you want to live on your terms, you must take inventory of your decisions. Every behavior sends a signal. Every action shapes identity. When you begin tracking your choices, you take ownership of that process. You stop hoping things will change, and you begin creating the conditions for that change. Don't wait until your life falls apart to get serious about what you're choosing. The earlier you confront your patterns, the faster you reclaim your power. And remember, not all patterns are destructive because they're extreme. Many are destructive because they're subtle. 5 minutes of hesitation here, 10 minutes of excuse there. One skipped responsibility today. It all compounds, and so does discipline. So does clarity. So does self-respect. When you identify a pattern that isn't serving you, ask why it exists. Most harmful behaviors are just solutions that stopped working. Maybe you avoid challenges because failing used to make you feel unworthy. Maybe you stay quiet in conflict because confrontation once cost you something important. Maybe you overcommit because you fear being seen as lazy. These beliefs don't disappear just because you track your choices, but they become visible, and once something is visible, it can be replaced with something stronger. You are not your habits. You are the one choosing them. And that means you can choose again. Once you've tracked your decisions for long enough to see what's holding you back, you can begin changing one behavior at a time. You don't need to overhaul everything. You need to make one choice better. Replace scrolling with reading. Replace complaining with solving. Replace waiting with starting. Replace passive thinking with deliberate planning. The goal isn't to become perfect. The goal is to become intentional, and intentional people aren't governed by emotion or pressure. They're guided by vision. They know what they want, and they make decisions that align with that goal. But vision without accountability is just a wish. That's why tracking your choices matters. It holds you accountable to the reality of your actions, not your feelings, not your intentions, but your actual behavior. The more you do this, the more connected you become to your growth. You start noticing the small wins. You feel the shift in energy when you choose differently. You start taking pride in the days where you stayed disciplined, even when no one else noticed. That's how momentum builds. That's how self-trust grows. And self-trust is everything. Because once you believe in your ability to choose well, you stop fearing change. You'll also begin to notice something else. Your standards will rise. You won't tolerate the same excuses. You won't accept aimless days. You won't chase validation through destructive habits. You'll expect more from yourself. Not because you're chasing perfection, but because you know you're capable of better. That mindset becomes your new default. And it all begins with a simple process. Track your choices, reflect on them, change what needs to be changed. Some people resist this process because it feels tedious. But the price of staying unaware is far greater. A life lived on autopilot is a life half-lived. Every day you repeat the same unconscious habits is a day further from the life you actually want. But every day you choose awareness, you gain leverage, you gain clarity, you gain control. There's no need to make this complex. A journal, a checklist, a simple note on your phone. Anything that helps you stay aware is enough. What matters is consistency. Track, reflect, adjust. Again and again, even when it's boring, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then, because those are the moments where growth takes root. You don't have to live in confusion. You don't have to stay stuck in the same cycles. You have the ability to choose differently, and that ability grows stronger every time you pay attention. No one changes their life by accident. They change it by becoming intentional. One choice at a time, so take ownership. Take notes. Take action. The path is already beneath your feet. You just have to walk it with your eyes open. Chapter 6. Say no to comfort and choose growth every time. Most people never rise to their potential because they stay where it's easy. They cling to what's familiar, even if it's unfulfilling. They protect their comfort, not realizing it's the very thing holding them back. But growth never happens where you're relaxed. It never shows up in routines that ask nothing from you. If you want to become more than you are now, you have to make peace with being uncomfortable. In fact, you have to seek it out, welcome it, and learn from it, because every time you reject the pull of comfort, you gain access to your future. Comfort isn't just rest, it's the avoidance of pressure, the rejection of effort, the refusal to stretch. It shows up in subtle ways: procrastinating a task that challenges you, repeating conversations that lead nowhere, choosing entertainment instead of education, quitting early because things got hard. And every time you say yes to those comforts, you say no to your own progress. No matter how much potential you have, nothing changes until you start choosing effort over ease every single day. You have to stop chasing the feeling of safety and start chasing the feeling of growth. Safety will keep you exactly where you are. Growth will stretch you, shake you, expose your weaknesses, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. That's how you become better. That's how you earn transformation. Not by wishing for it, but by working through resistance when your mind screams for comfort. Growth is never convenient. It demands effort. It interrupts routine, and it requires you to do the hard thing, especially when you don't feel ready. Most people think they need motivation. What they really need is the willingness to be uncomfortable without needing a reason. You grow when you act without permission, when you stop waiting for clarity and start creating it through action. There's a voice in your head that will try to pull you back every time you reach for more. It will tell you you're not ready. It will tell you to wait. It will remind you of past failures. That voice feeds on your comfort, and it dies when you start moving despite it. Choosing growth means waking up early when you'd rather stay in bed. It means starting the project before you know all the steps. It means having the difficult conversation instead of avoiding the issue. It means risking judgment, failing in public, trying again when nothing worked the first time. And most importantly, it means doing these things consistently, not once, not when it's convenient, but daily, until discomfort becomes your new baseline and effort becomes your habit. There's no perfect moment to change. There's just now, and the longer you wait for a feeling to push you, the more trapped you become in patterns that do nothing for your future. You're not stuck, you're just attached to comfort. And the only way out is to disrupt that attachment with bold action. Action that scares you. Action that exposes you. Action that demands more than you've given before. Real growth isn't glamorous. It's messy. It's awkward. It feels like failure half the time. But that discomfort is the cost of progress. And when you accept that, you stop fearing difficulty and start respecting it. Every challenge becomes a tool. Every setback becomes data. Every obstacle becomes a teacher. And over time, those hard moments shape you into someone who no longer needs easy days to stay committed. Most people never experience this shift because they back down too soon. They start a new habit, and when it gets difficult, they go back to what's comfortable. But you cannot create a new life using the same choices that built the old one. You cannot become stronger while avoiding pressure. You cannot develop self-respect while constantly choosing escape. The person you want to become already exists, but you have to meet them through repeated discomfort. Saying no to comfort doesn't mean you never rest. It means your rest is earned, not indulged. It means you stop giving yourself rewards for surviving the day and start giving yourself challenges that actually build your capacity. Most of your breakthroughs will come after the point where you usually quit. But you'll never reach that point if you keep stopping at the first sign of resistance. If something feels difficult, it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign to keep going. That's where the growth is. Growth is not something you stumble into. It's something you fight for, and that fight happens in the smallest decisions, whether you push for one more rep, whether you make the call you're avoiding, whether you sit with the discomfort instead of running from it. These moments determine who you become. Not because they're big, but because they're consistent. One strong decision won't change your life, but 1,000 strong decisions made in discomfort will. If you want real change, you have to rewire the way you respond to challenge. Right now, you might see pressure as a problem, but pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is your invitation to level up. It's the force that breaks down the old version of you so that something stronger can emerge. And the more you resist that pressure, the longer you stay small. Don't let your need for comfort rob you of transformation. Choosing growth is lonely sometimes. You'll outgrow relationships. You'll get misunderstood. You'll face resistance from others who are still living in comfort. That's okay. You're not doing this for applause. You're doing this because you refuse to waste your life in patterns that lead nowhere. You're doing this because you know you're meant for more, and you're finally ready to earn it. You don't need perfect circumstances to grow. You don't need the right timing. You need one decision. I'm no longer available for comfort that costs me my future. That's it. And every time you act on that decision, you build something inside of you that can't be taken away. Discipline, strength, resilience. These qualities are built, not gifted. And they're built through the consistent rejection of what's easy. It won't be fun. It won't be fast, but it will be real, and that's what matters. real confidence, real results, real self-respect. These things don't come from shortcuts. They come from facing the hard moments, doing what most people won't, and showing up when you have every excuse to stop. You have that power, but you have to use it. You have to take it seriously. You have to live like your future depends on it, because it does. So, when you feel the pull of comfort, remember what it's costing you. Every easy decision is a trade, and that trade is rarely worth it. Choose growth, choose pressure, choose the hard path. Not because it's trendy, not because someone told you to, but because you know the life you want is on the other side of everything you've been avoiding, and you're finally ready to earn it. Chapter 7. Wake up earlier and own your first hour daily. Most people sleep through the opportunity to take control of their lives. They roll out of bed only when the world begins to demand their attention. Their mornings are rushed, reactive, and chaotic. They wake up already behind. But the first hour of your day is the 1 hour you can fully own. Before anyone interrupts, before the world starts pulling you in 100 directions, before distractions have a chance to weaken your focus. If you want to build a life that feels intentional, disciplined, and centered, you have to stop wasting the most powerful window of your day. The first hour of your morning is not just about time. It's about who you decide to be before the world tells you who you are. If you start your day with noise, scrolling through feeds, reacting to messages, chasing deadlines, you hand over your peace, your clarity, and your direction. But if you wake up early and protect that time with purpose, you step into your day as the driver, not the passenger. You lead, not follow, and that single shift can reshape everything. Waking up earlier is not about becoming a morning person. It's about becoming the kind of person who values their growth more than their comfort. It's about building a life where you start strong instead of catching up. That extra hour in the morning is not just a bonus, it's the foundation. It's the one part of your day where no one can steal your time unless you give it away. When you take ownership of your morning, you begin with intention instead of urgency. You choose your thoughts before the world chooses them for you. You set your goals before distractions set theirs. You center your energy before chaos knocks it off balance. And over time, that simple habit of waking up with purpose creates momentum that compounds. You stop drifting. You stop reacting. You start living with more power, clarity, and control. But it's not just about the time you wake up. It's about what you do with it. The goal isn't just to rise early and fill your hour with empty routines. The goal is to build a rhythm that supports the life you want to live. That first hour is where you reconnect with yourself. It's where you train your mind, condition your discipline, and remind yourself of who you're becoming. Whether it's journaling your thoughts, planning your priorities, working on your body, or sitting quietly with your breath, what matters most is that you do it with intention. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a consistent one, and you need to protect it like it's sacred, because it is. That hour is your edge. It's what separates those who drift from those who drive. It's where you sharpen your vision and align your actions. It's where you practice showing up, especially on the days you don't feel like it, because those days are where character is built. And over time, those choices shape the identity of someone who doesn't wait for life to happen. They create it, day by day. Waking up earlier also rewires your relationship with time. You stop saying you're too busy because you've created space for what matters. You stop chasing productivity hacks because you've already claimed control of the most valuable part of your day. You realize that discipline isn't about doing more, it's about doing what counts consistently without excuse. That first hour reminds you that time isn't your enemy, it's your responsibility. People will say they're not morning people. They'll say they're too tired, too busy, too overwhelmed, but none of those are the real reasons. The truth is, most people haven't felt what it's like to own their mornings and what it does to their mindset. Once you feel that clarity, when you've had time to ground yourself before the noise begins, everything else feels different. You become less reactive. You think more clearly. You move with greater purpose, and that changes how you show up in every other area of life. You don't need 3 hours. You don't need a miracle routine. You need 60 minutes of presence, 60 minutes of quiet focus, 60 minutes of not checking your phone, not opening your inbox, not reacting to the world. Just 1 hour where you pour into yourself so that you can pour into everything else with more strength and less stress. 1 hour where you lead your mind instead of being led by your emotions. 1 hour that builds the identity of someone who chooses their path, not someone who just survives the day. And it's not about perfection. There will be days when you oversleep, days when you miss your routine, but don't let that be your norm. Let it be the exception. What matters most is that you return to your rhythm, even when life throws you off. Discipline is not about never falling. It's about how quickly you return after you fall. That first hour will become your anchor in chaos, your structure when things fall apart, your reminder that no matter how the world moves, you always have control over how you begin. There is something sacred about being awake while the world is still quiet. There's a stillness in the early hours that gives you space to think, breathe, and reconnect with your purpose. It's not just time, it's opportunity, and every morning you waste by sleeping in or starting your day in a rush, you throw away that opportunity, you throw away the calm, the focus, the space to lead yourself. The truth is, your mornings set the tone for your life. If your days begin with intention, they usually end with satisfaction. If they begin in chaos, they often end in regret. You don't need a perfect plan, you just need a commitment to yourself. A decision that says, I am worth the time, my future is worth the effort, my peace is worth protecting. And once that becomes your mindset, your mornings stop being something you dread and start becoming something you depend on. The person you're trying to become already exists in those early hours. The stronger version of you is found in the quiet discipline of waking up and doing the work, not just once, but day after day. The way you begin your day is the way you begin your life, intentional, present, and fully in charge. Wake up early, own your first hour, because how you start is how you continue, and how you continue is how you transform. Chapter 8. Detach from your past and focus on your future. The past is not a life sentence. It's a chapter, a collection of events, choices, and experiences that shaped you but were never meant to define you forever. Too often, people become trapped in old versions of themselves. They replay memories, regrets, mistakes, missed chances, and painful moments like they're still happening. They build their identity around who they were instead of who they could become. If you want to move forward in life, you must stop dragging your history into your future. You cannot create what's ahead while clinging to what's behind. There comes a moment when you must decide that your future matters more than your memory, that who you're becoming is more important than who you've been, that the lessons you've learned are valuable, but the pain you've carried doesn't belong in the next season of your life. Growth requires release, and to release, you must accept that the past no longer holds power over you unless you let it. There's nothing noble about carrying emotional weight that no longer serves you. There's nothing wise about repeating stories that only limit your potential. Yes, you were hurt. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, life broke you in places you didn't expect. But holding on to those moments doesn't fix them. Talking about them endlessly doesn't heal them. What heals you is the courage to say, "This no longer belongs to me. I choose something new." Forgiveness is not weakness. It's freedom. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. You are not your lowest moment. You are not your worst choice. You are not the pain someone else caused you. And yet, you carry those labels as if they are facts. You look in the mirror and still see the version of you who didn't know better, who felt powerless, who was still learning how to survive. But the truth is, you've already outgrown that version. You just haven't let them go. Letting go doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. It means choosing not to relive it every day. It means seeing your past for what it was, a time when you didn't know what you know now, a time when you were reacting, surviving, figuring things out. You did the best you could with what you had, and now that you know more, now that you've lived through it, now that you've gained wisdom, your responsibility is to act from that wisdom, instead of repeating the same cycles. You are not bound to the person you used to be. Just because you struggled with confidence doesn't mean you have to live in self-doubt. Just because you once feared change doesn't mean you're not capable of transformation. Just because you tolerated dysfunction doesn't mean you have to keep accepting what drains you. You're allowed to outgrow environments, people, habits, and mindsets that no longer reflect who you want to become. The world will try to remind you of your past. People will bring up old versions of you, especially when they're uncomfortable with your growth. They'll say, "But you've always been like this," or "Remember when you failed at that?" And in those moments, you must be firm in your own direction. You don't owe anyone a return to who you were. You don't have to defend your progress. Let your actions speak for your evolution. Let your peace speak louder than their opinions. Your past only has as much power as you choose to give it. You can use it as fuel, or you can let it be a chain. You can take the lessons and build something stronger, or you can sit in the rubble of what once was. But you can't do both. You can't hold your future with both hands while gripping the past with clenched fists. You must loosen your grip. You must release the identity built on survival and step into the one built on purpose. When you start focusing on the future, you stop arguing with the past. You stop needing closure for everything. You stop waiting for apologies that may never come. You stop obsessing over what should have happened. You realize that peace doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from choosing to stop asking the same painful questions. It comes from directing your energy toward what you can build, who you can become, and how you can serve the life ahead of you. Your potential is waiting in the space where you stop rehearsing your history. That's where clarity lives. That's where confidence grows. That's where new vision can finally take root. Because you're no longer drowning in old emotions. You're no longer giving attention to ghosts. You're no longer waiting for the past to rewrite itself. You've finally made the decision to move forward, and that decision changes everything. Look around. What habits do you keep that were built during a time of pain? What choices do you make that reflect who you were, not who you are? What patterns repeat because you haven't questioned them yet? This is your chance to become aware, to become intentional, to finally say, that version of me was necessary, but it's not permanent. To step forward without dragging your scars into every room you enter. Your future needs your full attention. It needs your discipline, your patience, your resilience. But most of all, it needs you to stop distracting yourself with what you can't change. Every time you replay old pain, you delay your progress. Every time you retell stories that bring shame, you reinforce beliefs that limit you. And every time you avoid your future because your past feels familiar, You sacrifice the life that's possible for the life that already ended. Your next chapter has nothing to do with who hurt you, what you lost, or how long you suffered. It has everything to do with how deeply you're willing to believe in your ability to begin again. And beginnings don't require permission. They require commitment. The commitment to say, this is no longer the story I'm living. I choose something new, not because it's easy, but because I'm done being held hostage by who I used to be. No matter what you've been through, you still have a say in what comes next. And no matter how broken your past might have been, it cannot stop the future you're willing to build with discipline, focus, and vision. Let the old weight fall. Let the noise fade. Let the memories soften into wisdom, and step forward, not because the past is gone, but because your future deserves your full presence. Chapter 9. Stop reacting emotionally and start thinking clearly. When emotions take over, clarity disappears. Most people respond to situations by reacting first and thinking later, or worse, not thinking at all. This often leads to decisions they regret, relationships that strain, and opportunities that slip away. The power to control your life is rooted in your ability to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Clear thinking doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means not letting emotions dictate your actions. It means stepping back long enough to see the bigger picture before choosing how to act. Emotional reactions are automatic responses shaped by past experiences, survival instincts, and deeply ingrained habits. They feel urgent and uncontrollable, but they don't have to control you. Recognizing the difference between feeling an emotion and acting on it is the first step toward mastery. When you learn to separate your feelings from your choices, you regain power. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the architect of your reality. Pause is the secret weapon most people never use. When something triggers a strong emotion, anger, fear, frustration, or disappointment, the natural impulse is to respond immediately. But that instant reaction rarely serves you well. It often escalates conflict, creates misunderstandings, and leads to regret. Instead, create a habit of pausing. Even a few seconds of breath, a moment to ask yourself what's really going on, can prevent a poor decision. That pause builds space for perspective. Clarity grows in the space between stimulus and response. That space is where you can ask yourself, is this reaction helping me? Does this action align with who I want to be? You don't have to believe every thought your mind throws at you, especially when emotions are high. Emotions are signals, not commands. Use them as information to understand what you're experiencing, but don't let them dictate your behavior. When you treat emotions as data rather than orders, your responses become strategic instead of reactive. Clear thinking requires emotional awareness. This means paying attention to your feelings without judgment or avoidance. Naming your emotions, anger, sadness, anxiety, excitement, grounds you. It brings you into the present moment and stops the cycle of automatic reactions. When you become curious about your emotions instead of fearful or overwhelmed, you create a calm that allows logical thought to emerge. You give your brain the chance to solve problems rather than just react to them. Practicing clear thinking also means questioning your initial interpretations. Often, our minds jump to conclusions based on assumptions or past experiences that may not be accurate. For example, when someone criticizes you, your first reaction might be defensive or hurt. But what if their words weren't meant as an attack? What if there's value hidden beneath the delivery? Asking questions rather than assuming gives you control over the narrative. It helps you respond with wisdom instead of emotion. To strengthen your ability to think clearly, develop daily habits that support mental clarity. This might be journaling your thoughts to untangle confusing emotions, meditating to calm the mind, or simply practicing deep breathing when stress rises. These practices don't eliminate emotions, they help you observe them without being swept away. Over time, you build resilience to emotional turbulence and sharpen your capacity to choose thoughtful responses. Another important aspect is recognizing emotional triggers. These are patterns or situations that consistently provoke strong reactions in you. Identifying triggers allows you to prepare and respond differently. Instead of being caught off guard, you approach these moments with awareness. You can plan ahead how to handle them with calm and clarity, which reduces the chance of harmful reactions and increases your ability to stay grounded. Clear thinking also means understanding consequences before you act. Every reaction creates ripples, some positive, some damaging. When emotions cloud judgment, it's easy to overlook the long-term effects of your words and actions. Slowing down your response gives you time to consider those consequences. Are you protecting relationships or harming them? Are you solving problems or creating new ones? Are you moving toward your goals or drifting away? These questions reorient your mind toward purposeful action. Emotional control is a skill, not a trait you're born with. It develops through consistent practice and intentional effort. Like any skill, it requires patience and self-compassion. You will slip up. You will react impulsively sometimes. The difference is in how you recover and learn. Every moment you pause and choose clarity over chaos, you strengthen your capacity for wise decisions. Over time, this becomes your default mode. When you stop reacting emotionally, you don't become cold or disconnected. Instead, you become more connected to yourself and to others. Your relationships improve because you communicate with calmness and clarity. Your problem-solving improves because you assess situations with logic instead of panic. Your confidence grows because you trust your ability to handle whatever comes your way without losing control. Clear thinking frees you from the tyranny of emotional ups and downs and places you firmly in charge of your life. Remember, emotions are part of being human. They bring depth and meaning to your experiences. The goal isn't to eliminate them, but to integrate them with clear thought. This integration creates balanced responses that honor your feelings while maintaining direction. When you master this balance, you become unstoppable. You no longer allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent decisions. Instead, you navigate life with wisdom, strength, and calm determination. Practice starts now. The next time you feel a surge of emotion, don't immediately react. Take a breath. Ask yourself what's really going on. Consider what outcome you want. Then choose your response. This simple habit builds over time, reshaping your relationship with emotions and your ability to think clearly. Your life will change, not because circumstances become easier, but because you become stronger in how you handle them. Clarity of thought is the foundation of effective action. Without it, effort becomes wasted energy. With it, every step you take moves you closer to your goals. When you consistently choose clear thinking over emotional reaction, you set yourself apart. You demonstrate maturity, wisdom, and leadership, not just to others, but to yourself. That is the key to personal growth and lasting success. Chapter 10. Choose goals that scare and stretch you daily. Growth never happens inside your comfort zone. If your goals don't challenge you, they won't change you. You have to choose goals that make you uncomfortable, that stretch your limits, that scare you enough to force new habits and new thinking. These kinds of goals push you beyond what you thought was possible. They reveal hidden strength. They create momentum. They demand a higher version of yourself to show up every day. Fear is a natural reaction to growth. It's your mind's way of protecting what's familiar. But when you let fear decide your goals, you settle for less than you deserve. Choosing goals that scare you means leaning into that fear instead of avoiding it. It means saying yes to uncertainty and no to safety. The biggest breakthroughs in life come from the moments when you decide to move forward even though you don't feel ready. Stretch goals are different from easy goals. Easy goals keep you comfortable and stagnant. Stretch goals force you to learn, to adapt, to fail, and to rise again. They teach you resilience because they require persistence. They teach you focus because distractions become costly. They teach you courage because every step forward is a risk. When you chase these goals, you create a life full of purpose and progress instead of routine and regret. Setting these goals requires honesty with yourself. You have to ask, what scares me but also excites me? What kind of growth do I avoid because it feels too hard? The answer to these questions points to where your potential lies. It might be public speaking, starting a business, building a healthier body, or repairing a broken relationship. Whatever it is, the feeling of discomfort means you're on the right track. These goals must be specific and measurable. Vague ambitions don't create change. You need clear targets that you can track daily. The daily work matters more than grand plans. Big dreams come true through small, consistent actions. The discomfort of progress comes in daily doses, and choosing goals that stretch you daily means showing up even when motivation fades, when doubts arise, when life gets complicated. You'll face setbacks. That's guaranteed. But stretch goals prepare you for failure because failure is part of growth. When you choose goals that scare you, you're also choosing to become resilient. You learn to embrace setbacks as lessons instead of reasons to quit. This mindset is rare and powerful. It separates those who dream from those who do. Accountability matters when you choose difficult goals. Share your goals with people who will challenge you, support you, and hold you responsible. Isolation feeds fear and excuses. Community fuels courage and progress. When others know your goals, you're more likely to push through discomfort instead of giving up. Your environment influences your mindset. So surround yourself with those who believe in growth and stretch. Celebrate progress, not perfection. When you take on scary goals, the journey is long and uneven. Small wins build confidence and keep you moving forward. Acknowledge every step, no matter how tiny, because it's evidence that you're capable of change. These moments of success fuel motivation and deepen your commitment to growth. Choosing goals that scare you is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. Every morning, remind yourself why you set these goals. Visualize the person you're becoming by facing fears and pushing limits. Use that vision to fuel your daily actions. This commitment will keep you grounded when distractions tempt you to settle. Over time, as you repeatedly choose discomfort for the sake of growth, your identity shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone who avoids challenges. You become someone who seeks them. You become someone who rises when others quit. You become the person who lives with intention, courage, and unstoppable momentum. In the end, the goals that scare and stretch you are the keys to unlocking your true potential. They transform fear into fuel, discomfort into growth, and dreams into reality. The question isn't whether you can handle the challenge, it's whether you're willing to face it every day, commit to the hard work, and become more than you ever thought possible. Chapter 11. Build new habits that match your future self. Building new habits is the bridge between who you are today and who you want to become tomorrow. Every person you admire, every success story you respect, is built on consistent habits that support a vision of a better self. You can't wake up one day as the future you desire without first committing to the small daily actions that shape that identity. Habits are the architecture of your future. The question is, are you building habits that serve the person you want to become, or are you stuck maintaining the habits of who you used to be? The future self you imagine requires habits that align with that vision. If you want to be healthier, your habits must include movement and nutrition, not just wishes. If you want to be more disciplined, your daily routines must reflect consistency, not randomness. If you want to grow mentally, you must create space for learning and reflection every day. Your habits become the silent drivers of your identity. They create who you are when no one is watching. Therefore, they must be chosen deliberately, with your future self in mind. Starting new habits can feel uncomfortable because they require change. Change threatens the status quo and forces you to move outside your comfort zone. This discomfort is natural and necessary. It means you are growing. The key is not to avoid discomfort, but to use it as a signal that you are building strength. The habits that match your future self won't always be easy or convenient, but they will be worth every ounce of effort. Consistency is the secret ingredient to lasting habit change. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up every day and do the small things that reinforce your new identity. It's the repetition of simple actions that rewires your brain and makes new habits automatic. This means focusing less on motivation and more on discipline. Motivation fluctuates, but discipline builds the foundation for progress that doesn't depend on how you feel in the moment. Building new habits starts with clarity. Define exactly what habits your future self practices. Be specific. For example, instead of saying, "I want to read more," say, "I will read 10 pages every morning." Instead of "I want to exercise," say, "I will walk for 30 minutes after lunch." Clear, measurable habits are easier to follow and track. Ambiguous goals leave room for excuses and delay. Your future self needs clarity to grow. Accountability fuels habit formation. When you tell someone about your new habits or track your progress publicly, you increase your chances of success. The awareness that someone else knows what you're doing pushes you to stay consistent. It also creates a support system when challenges arise. Habits aren't built in isolation. Community and accountability accelerate growth. Another powerful technique is habit stacking, linking a new habit to an existing one. This creates a trigger that reminds your brain to perform the new action. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, decide that right after brushing you will write down your top 3 priorities for the day. This makes the new habit easier to remember and harder to skip. Habit stacking builds momentum because it ties new behaviors to the routines you already perform. It's important to track your habits consistently. Tracking reveals patterns, progress, and obstacles. When you see a streak of days where you successfully practice your habit, it motivates you to keep going. When you miss a day, tracking helps you understand why and how to adjust. Awareness is a powerful tool for change. Without tracking, habits become vague intentions that rarely turn into action. Patience is essential when building habits that match your future self. Change doesn't happen overnight. Your brain needs time to create new neural pathways that support new behaviors. There will be days when progress feels invisible or when old habits creep back in. This is normal. Persistence through these moments separates those who transform from those who quit. The future self you want depends on your ability to keep going when it's hard. Your environment plays a critical role in habit formation. Surround yourself with cues that support your new habits and remove those that trigger old ones. If your future self values health, keep healthy food visible and put away junk food. If you want to read more, place books where you can easily see and access them. Shaping your environment creates less reliance on willpower and more on automatic behavior. Self-compassion is another vital element. You will make mistakes. You will miss days. When this happens, avoid harsh judgment or giving up entirely. Treat yourself as you would a friend learning something new. Acknowledge setbacks as part of the process and recommit to your habits. The path to becoming your future self is not linear, but resilience keeps you moving forward. Reflecting regularly on why you want to build these habits deepens your commitment. Remind yourself daily of the vision you have for your future self and how these habits bring you closer to that person. This connection between action and purpose strengthens your motivation and keeps your habits aligned with your deepest values. Building habits that match your future self is an act of self-respect. It signals that you believe in your potential enough to invest time and effort in growth. It's a daily vote for the person you want to become. This process is neither quick nor easy, but it's the most reliable way to create lasting change. When you commit to your habits with intention, consistency, and compassion, you build a future that no longer depends on luck, but on your steady, purposeful effort. The transformation begins with your willingness to choose. Each day offers a new chance to practice habits that move you forward. Over time, these small choices accumulate into profound change. Your future self will thank you not because the journey was easy, but because you never gave up on becoming who you were meant to be. Chapter 12. Push through boredom and stay consistent anyway. Boredom is one of the biggest enemies of progress. It sneaks in quietly, disguising itself as a signal that the effort isn't worth it anymore or that you should quit and look for something easier or more exciting. The truth is, growth rarely feels thrilling every step of the way. Real change demands showing up when the passion fades and motivation is low. It demands pushing through the dull, repetitive moments that feel like wasted time, but are actually the foundation of success. When boredom hits, the mind craves stimulation, distraction, or a break. This is normal because the brain naturally seeks pleasure and avoids discomfort. However, if you give in to boredom every time it arrives, you create a habit of quitting early. You teach yourself that discomfort means failure and that only fun or exciting experiences are worth pursuing. This mindset kills consistency, and without consistency, goals remain out of reach. The key is understanding that boredom is not the enemy. It's a signal that you're in the process of building something worthwhile. Every expert, athlete, artist, and leader has faced long periods of monotony. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is the ability to keep moving forward when it feels dull. This ability is what separates amateurs from professionals. Professionals don't wait for excitement to come back. They commit regardless. Consistency is a choice you make every single day. It's a decision to keep working even when you don't feel like it. The power of this choice compounds over time. Each small effort in moments of boredom adds up to big results later. What feels boring now is often the invisible work behind the scenes that makes breakthroughs possible. This means success is less about feeling great every day and more about building resilience to push through discomfort. One practical way to push through boredom is to set clear, achievable mini-goals. When a large goal feels overwhelming or tedious, breaking it down into smaller tasks can make progress feel more manageable. These small wins create a sense of accomplishment that combats the boredom. They remind you that every step, no matter how small, matters and moves you forward. Another strategy is to vary your approach without abandoning your commitment. If the routine feels stale, change the way you practice the habit or goal without skipping it. For example, if you're learning a skill and the repetition bores you, find new exercises or challenges that keep your mind engaged but still develop the same skill. This keeps your progress moving without giving into the desire to quit. It's also important to cultivate a strong why. When boredom creeps in, reconnecting with your deeper purpose can renew your commitment. Why did you start? What do you hope to achieve? How will your life be different if you keep going? These questions anchor you during moments of doubt and dullness. They remind you that your efforts aren't meaningless, but part of a larger vision. Developing discipline over motivation is critical because motivation is unpredictable and often tied to mood or external factors. Discipline means doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. This kind of inner strength is built through repetition and commitment. Over time, it creates a momentum that carries you even when boredom or setbacks try to stop you. Accountability partners or groups can provide extra motivation to push through boredom. When others are aware of your goals and progress, you feel less likely to quit. They can encourage you when you feel stuck and celebrate your persistence. This social support makes the journey less lonely and the boring moments easier to endure. Mindfulness also helps in dealing with boredom. When you notice feelings of boredom arise, instead of fighting them or distracting yourself, observe them without judgment. Understand that boredom is temporary and doesn't define the value of your efforts. This awareness creates a space where you can consciously choose to continue rather than react impulsively by quitting or procrastinating. Rewarding yourself for sticking with it can reinforce consistency too. Celebrate milestones and effort, not just results. These rewards don't need to be extravagant. Simple acknowledgements of your hard work build positive associations with perseverance. When you connect pleasure to commitment, you train your brain to enjoy the process even when it's not naturally exciting. It's important to accept that some days will be boring, and that's part of the journey. Fighting boredom with unrealistic expectations for constant excitement only leads to disappointment. Growth is a marathon, not a sprint. When you accept that consistency sometimes looks like showing up and doing the work quietly and without fanfare, you build a foundation that outlasts temporary feelings. When boredom tries to convince you to quit, remind yourself that you are stronger than your feelings. You are building discipline muscle every time you push through. Each moment of boredom survived adds to your resilience bank, making future challenges easier. The life you want requires this level of commitment. You owe it to yourself to keep going, no matter how dull the process feels. Staying consistent through boredom rewires your brain to value progress over pleasure. It changes your mindset from chasing feelings to chasing results. It transforms habits from chores into commitments. This mental shift is where true mastery begins. The more you practice this, the more effortless consistency becomes, and the less boredom controls your choices. In the end, success is less about extraordinary moments and more about the ordinary moments repeated daily. Pushing through boredom is what allows those ordinary moments to become extraordinary results. It's what separates people who dream from people who achieve. When you commit to consistency despite boredom, you prove to yourself that your goals matter more than temporary discomfort. This proves you have the strength to create the life you want, no matter how long the journey takes. Chapter 13. Speak to yourself with honesty and self-respect. The way you speak to yourself sets the foundation for everything you do. Your inner voice shapes your confidence, your decisions, and your ability to keep moving forward. When you treat yourself with honesty and respect, you build a mindset that supports growth and resilience. When you don't, you create barriers that limit your potential before you even begin. Self-talk is not just words inside your head. It's the lens through which you view your worth and your possibilities. Honesty in self-talk means looking at yourself clearly without excuses or denial. It means recognizing both your strengths and your weaknesses without minimizing or exaggerating them. This kind of truthfulness is powerful because it frees you from illusions that hold you back. When you know where you truly stand, you can make decisions that are grounded in reality, not wishful thinking. It's the first step to meaningful change, because you can't fix what you refuse to see. Speaking to yourself with self-respect means valuing yourself enough to refuse negative, damaging language. It means choosing words that build rather than break down. Many people unintentionally sabotage themselves with harsh criticism or self-doubt. This creates a cycle of defeat before they even try. When you commit to self-respect, you replace that cycle with encouragement, patience, and kindness. This doesn't mean ignoring mistakes or weaknesses, but addressing them with care and a commitment to improvement. Your inner dialogue influences how you handle challenges. If your self-talk is honest and respectful, you are more likely to see obstacles as opportunities to learn rather than threats to your worth. You approach setbacks with curiosity instead of shame. This mindset creates resilience because it focuses on growth instead of punishment. When you speak to yourself in this way, you become your own strongest supporter rather than your harshest critic. Developing honest and respectful self-talk requires awareness. Pay attention to what you say to yourself throughout the day. Notice when your inner voice is harsh, dismissive, or overly critical. Catching these moments allows you to interrupt negative patterns and replace them with more supportive language. This is a skill that grows with practice. The more you choose respectful words, the more natural they become. When you face failure or disappointment, self-honesty means accepting responsibility without blame. It means saying, "I made a mistake, but I can learn from this." This statement acknowledges reality without diminishing your value. Self-respect in these moments means treating yourself as you would treat a friend in the same situation, with compassion and encouragement to keep going. This approach fuels motivation and prevents the paralysis that comes from guilt or shame. Celebrate your progress honestly. Recognize the effort you put in and the small victories you achieve. This honest recognition boosts confidence and reinforces positive habits. It reminds you that change is possible and that you are capable of growth. Self-respect means not downplaying your successes or waiting for perfection to feel proud. Every step forward deserves acknowledgement. Avoiding comparison is part of speaking to yourself with respect. Your journey is unique, and measuring yourself against others creates unnecessary doubt and frustration. Instead, focus on your own progress and what you need to improve based on your values and goals. Respecting yourself means honoring your path without judgment or envy. This mindset keeps you grounded and focused on what matters most. Use affirmations carefully and meaningfully. They are tools to reinforce honest and respectful self-talk, not magic fixes. Choose statements that reflect your true intentions and values. For example, "I am learning and growing every day" is more effective than unrealistic claims. The goal is to build trust with yourself through authentic language that aligns with your reality and aspirations. When negative thoughts arise, don't ignore or suppress them. Acknowledge them honestly and then challenge them with facts and kinder perspectives. For example, if you think, "I'm not good enough," counter it with evidence of your strengths or past successes. This practice weakens the power of negativity and strengthens your inner voice as a source of truth and respect. Remember that your self-talk influences not only your mindset, but also your behavior. When you speak honestly and respectfully to yourself, you are more likely to take actions that reflect that respect. You set boundaries, make healthier choices, and pursue goals with confidence. Your words become the blueprint for your life. When you build that blueprint on honesty and self-respect, you lay the foundation for lasting change. It takes courage to face yourself honestly. It requires vulnerability, to admit flaws and mistakes. But this courage leads to freedom, because it stops the cycle of denial and self-sabotage. Self-respect makes that courage sustainable because it cushions you against the fear of failure or rejection. Together they create a powerful mindset that fuels continuous growth and resilience. Speaking to yourself with honesty and self-respect is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. It requires commitment and patience. Some days will be harder than others. You will sometimes slip into negative patterns. When that happens, gently bring yourself back to this practice without judgment. The journey is about progress, not perfection. Your inner voice shapes your reality. When you choose to speak with honesty and self-respect, you create a mindset that empowers you to face challenges, pursue your goals, and become the person you want to be. This practice transforms self-doubt into self-trust and fear into confidence. It turns your inner critic into your greatest ally. This transformation begins the moment you decide to change your inner dialogue. It grows stronger with every kind and truthful word you speak to yourself. It becomes a force that supports you in every decision, every setback, and every victory. Speaking honestly and respectfully to yourself is the foundation of self-mastery and the key to living a fulfilling and authentic life. Chapter 14. Spend time alone and listen to your inner truth. Spending time alone is one of the most powerful ways to connect with your inner truth. In solitude, distractions fade and the noise of the outside world quiets. This quiet space allows you to hear what your mind and heart are really saying beneath the surface. Many people avoid being alone because it feels uncomfortable or because they fear what they might discover about themselves. But facing that silence is where true clarity and self-understanding begin. When you spend time alone, you create an opportunity to listen without interruption. This isn't just about being physically alone, but mentally present with yourself. Often our thoughts get tangled in worries, doubts, or the expectations of others. Solitude cuts through those layers and reveals your authentic feelings and desires. It lets you separate what you think you should want from what you truly want, deep down. Listening to your inner truth requires patience. Your mind might resist by filling the silence with distractions or negative self-talk. At first you may feel restless or uneasy. This discomfort is a natural part of the process. It's a sign that you are peeling away the layers of habit and conditioning to reach something real. With regular practice, this restlessness gives way to peace and clarity. Journaling is a practical tool to deepen your connection with your inner truth. During alone time, writing down your thoughts and feelings without judgment or editing allows hidden truths to surface. It helps you organize your inner world and see patterns or insights that were previously unclear. Journaling can be as simple as answering questions like, "What am I really feeling?" or "What do I want most right now?" Alone time is also a chance to reflect on your choices and direction. When you disconnect from external opinions and distractions, you can evaluate your life honestly. Are your current actions aligned with your values? Are you living according to your own standards or someone else's? These reflections can be uncomfortable but necessary for growth. They guide you toward decisions that honor your authentic self. Listening to your inner truth sharpens your intuition. Intuition is not mystical, but a natural ability to sense what is right or wrong for you based on your experiences and values. When you are regularly alone and present with yourself, you learn to trust this inner guidance more clearly. This trust helps you make better decisions and avoid confusion caused by external noise. It's important to create regular alone time, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Consistency builds a habit of self-connection. Start with short periods of silence, free from phones, TV, or other distractions. Use this time to breathe deeply and tune into your thoughts and feelings. As you become more comfortable, extend this time to allow deeper exploration. Spending time alone can also boost creativity and problem solving. Without the rush and clutter of daily life, your mind has space to think freely and generate new ideas. Many great breakthroughs happen in moments of solitude because you are fully present with your inner world. This clarity can lead to innovative solutions and fresh perspectives. Self-awareness grows through solitude because it forces you to face your true self, not the mask you wear in public. You notice your fears, hopes, insecurities, and strengths more clearly. This awareness is the foundation of personal growth. It allows you to make conscious choices rather than react out of habit or fear. You become the author of your own life story instead of a passive character. Alone time teaches self-reliance. When you learn to enjoy and trust your own company, you rely less on others for validation or happiness. This independence strengthens your confidence and emotional stability. You become less influenced by outside opinions and more connected to your values and purpose. Listening to your inner truth often reveals what changes you need to make in your life. It might be a shift in habits, relationships, or mindset. Alone time helps you identify these shifts without distraction or pressure. It gives you the courage to take steps that align your life more closely with your authentic self. Silence also helps process emotions that are often ignored or suppressed in daily life. When alone, you can acknowledge feelings like sadness, anger, or fear without judgment. This emotional honesty is healing because it prevents unresolved feelings from controlling your behavior. It frees you to move forward with clarity and strength. Creating a quiet space for yourself is important for effective alone time. This might be a room, a corner, or a walk outside where you feel safe and undisturbed. A comfortable environment encourages relaxation and openness. The more you associate solitude with peace, the easier it becomes to embrace it regularly. Alone time is not about isolation, but about connection. Connection to your deepest self. It balances the social demands of life with the need for inner clarity. This balance is essential for mental health and personal growth. When you listen to your inner truth regularly, you live with more authenticity and less inner conflict. Avoid rushing through alone time or filling it with distractions. The value lies in truly being present with yourself. Practice patience as you develop this skill. Over time, you will find that your inner voice becomes clearer, stronger, and more reliable. This voice guides you toward decisions and actions that reflect who you really are and who you want to become. Listening to your inner truth transforms your relationship with yourself. It builds trust, acceptance, and compassion. You stop chasing external approval and start honoring your own wisdom. This shift leads to greater peace and confidence. It empowers you to live deliberately and with purpose. In the end, spending time alone and listening to your inner truth is a gift you give yourself. It's an act of self-care and self-respect that nourishes your mind and soul. This practice unlocks the clarity and strength needed to navigate life's challenges and opportunities. The more you embrace solitude, the more you uncover the authentic power within you to shape your life exactly as you choose. Chapter 15. Break negative patterns before they control your mind. Negative patterns are invisible chains that keep you trapped in the same unproductive cycle over and over. They often start small, a thought, a reaction, a habit that quietly takes root and grows until it dominates your decisions and emotions. These patterns aren't just bad habits, they shape how you interpret the world and what you expect from yourself. If left unchecked, they become automatic, controlling your mind without conscious awareness. Breaking free from them is not optional if you want to reclaim control over your life and steer it in a positive direction. The first step to breaking negative patterns is recognizing them clearly. Many people don't realize how deeply these patterns influence their behavior because they happen beneath the surface. Pay close attention to recurring thoughts, feelings, and actions that sabotage your progress or cause unnecessary suffering. For example, you might notice a pattern of self-doubt that prevents you from trying new things, or a tendency to react with anger that damages relationships. Awareness is the key to disruption. Once you identify a negative pattern, question its origin and purpose. Understand what need it tried to serve or what fear it protected you from. Many patterns develop as coping mechanisms in response to difficult situations or past trauma. Recognizing this doesn't excuse the behavior, but gives insight into why it exists. This understanding reduces shame and opens the door for intentional change rather than mindless repetition. Interrupting a negative pattern requires conscious effort. The moment you feel yourself slipping into the familiar harmful thought or behavior, pause. This pause is your power to choose differently. It may be uncomfortable at first because the mind prefers what is known even if it is damaging. Consistently practicing this pause rewires your brain, making new, healthier responses more automatic over time. Developing alternative responses is essential. Decide in advance how you want to react instead of falling back on old habits. For example, if stress usually leads you to procrastinate, plan a productive but manageable action to take instead, like a short walk or writing a simple to-do list. Preparing these responses strengthens your ability to break the cycle when the urge arises. Replacing negative patterns with positive habits requires persistence. Progress is rarely linear. You might slip back into old ways multiple times before new patterns take hold. Each time you catch yourself and choose differently, you reinforce the new behavior. This repetition is the foundation of lasting change. Remember, the goal is not perfection but steady improvement. Tracking your triggers helps to anticipate and manage negative patterns. Notice the situations, emotions, or people that prompt harmful thoughts or actions. Once you identify these triggers, you can develop strategies to avoid or cope with them more effectively. For instance, if social media causes anxiety or comparison, limit your time or set specific boundaries around its use. Mindfulness is a powerful tool in breaking negative patterns. Being present in the moment helps you observe your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. This observation creates distance from automatic reactions and increases your ability to respond consciously. Regular mindfulness practice strengthens this skill, making it easier to interrupt destructive cycles. Self-compassion plays a vital role in this process. Change is difficult, and you will face setbacks. When negative patterns re-emerge, avoid harsh self-criticism that can deepen the cycle. Instead, treat yourself with kindness and understanding, acknowledging that growth takes time. This compassionate mindset supports resilience and encourages continued effort. Seeking support from trusted people or professionals can accelerate breaking negative patterns. Others can provide perspective, encouragement, and accountability. Sometimes, patterns are deeply rooted and require guidance beyond what you can do alone. Reaching out is a sign of strength and commitment to change, not weakness. Visualization can reinforce new patterns. Imagine yourself responding differently in situations where you typically fall into negative behaviors. See yourself calm, confident, and in control. This mental rehearsal prepares your brain for real-life change and builds confidence in your ability to choose better. Understanding the cost of negative patterns motivates change. Reflect honestly on how these patterns limit your happiness, relationships, and success. When the pain of staying the same outweighs the discomfort of change, motivation to break free increases. Use this motivation as fuel to persist through challenges. Create physical reminders or cues to reinforce new habits. These can be notes, objects, or alarms that prompt you to pause and choose consciously. Visual signals help keep your intentions at the forefront of your mind, especially during moments of weakness. Commit to small, consistent actions that replace negative patterns. Large changes can feel overwhelming and lead to giving up. Focus on manageable steps that build momentum. Over time, these small wins accumulate into significant transformation. Breaking negative patterns is ultimately about reclaiming your power. It means refusing to let past conditioning dictate your future. You take responsibility for your mind and actions. This shift is liberating and empowering, enabling you to live with greater freedom and purpose. The journey requires courage to face uncomfortable truths and the discipline to practice new behaviors consistently. It demands patience because the mind resists change, but every effort made chips away at old chains and builds a foundation for lasting growth. When you break free from destructive cycles, you open space for new possibilities. Your mind becomes a tool for success rather than a source of struggle. This clarity and control enhance every area of life, from relationships to career to personal fulfillment. Remember, the process is ongoing. New patterns may emerge as you grow and face different challenges. Stay vigilant and committed to your mental well-being. Breaking negative patterns is not a one-time fix, but a lifelong practice of self-awareness and intentional living. You have the power to interrupt the scripts that limit you and rewrite your story with purpose and strength. It starts with awareness, continues with conscious choice, and thrives with persistence. The freedom that comes from breaking negative patterns is the foundation for becoming the person you truly want to be. Chapter 16. Replace old beliefs with thoughts that move you forward. Old beliefs shape the way you see yourself and the world around you, often without you even realizing it. These beliefs act like invisible rules, telling you what you can or cannot do, what you deserve, and how life should unfold. When these beliefs are limiting or false, they hold you back and prevent you from growing into your full potential. Changing your life means replacing these old, outdated beliefs with thoughts that support your progress and empower you to move forward. Recognizing which beliefs no longer serve you is the first step. Many of these ideas have been planted over years through upbringing, culture, or past experiences. They often sound like facts, but are really just stories you tell yourself. For example, you might believe that success is only for certain kinds of people, or that failure means you're not good enough. These stories create mental barriers that limit your actions and keep you stuck in familiar patterns. Once you identify a belief that holds you back, challenge its truth. Ask yourself if there is real evidence to support it, or if it's just a habit of thinking. Often these beliefs are based on fear or misinformation rather than reality. Questioning them opens space for new possibilities. It weakens the grip they have on your mind and prepares you to adopt a healthier perspective. Replacing old beliefs requires intention and repetition. The mind needs consistent input to change its default thinking. Affirmations and positive self-talk can help, but they must feel believable to be effective. Instead of empty phrases, focus on thoughts grounded in your real potential and past successes. For example, replace "I can't handle challenges" with "I have overcome difficult situations before and can do it again." Visualization strengthens new beliefs by creating mental images of success and growth. Picture yourself acting with confidence and achieving your goals. This mental rehearsal makes the new beliefs feel real and attainable. The brain responds to these images as if they are actual experiences, reinforcing the mindset shift. Surround yourself with people who support your new beliefs. Negative or doubtful voices can reinforce old limiting ideas. Choose relationships that encourage your growth and reflect the thoughts you want to cultivate. This environment helps reinforce your new mindset and provides motivation to keep moving forward. Educate yourself with books, talks, and experiences that challenge old beliefs and introduce new ways of thinking. Learning broadens your perspective and provides evidence that change is possible. The more knowledge you gather, the easier it becomes to replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Practice gratitude to shift your focus from what's lacking to what's possible. Gratitude rewires your brain to notice opportunities and strengths rather than obstacles and weaknesses. This positive outlook supports the formation of forward-moving thoughts and helps you stay motivated. Monitor your self-talk throughout the day. When you catch negative or limiting thoughts, consciously replace them with constructive alternatives. This process strengthens your ability to control your mind and keeps your focus on growth. Over time, this becomes an automatic habit. Set clear goals that reflect your new beliefs. Goals provide direction and purpose, reinforcing your mindset change through action. When your actions align with your thoughts, the new beliefs become more deeply ingrained. Each step forward confirms that these new thoughts are true and powerful. Be patient with yourself. Changing beliefs is not instantaneous, but a gradual process that unfolds over time. There will be moments of doubt or old beliefs resurfacing. When that happens, gently remind yourself of your new mindset and the reasons behind your change. Persistence is key to lasting transformation. Reflect regularly on your progress and the impact of your new beliefs. Notice how your choices, emotions, and results shift as your mindset evolves. This awareness boosts confidence and encourages continued commitment to growth. Replacing old beliefs is about reclaiming control over your mind and future. It means refusing to be limited by past conditioning and choosing thoughts that serve your highest good. This change opens the door to new opportunities, greater self-confidence, and a more fulfilling life. You have the power to decide what you believe and how those beliefs shape your actions. By consciously selecting thoughts that move you forward, you create a mental environment where growth is natural and inevitable. This mindset empowers you to face challenges with courage and to keep advancing toward your goals. Your beliefs are the foundation of your reality. When you build that foundation on positive, forward-thinking thoughts, everything else becomes easier. Your motivation strengthens, your decisions improve, and your resilience grows. This shift transforms not only what you do but who you are becoming. The process begins with awareness and a willingness to question your current mindset. It continues with consistent effort to adopt and reinforce new beliefs through practice and support. The result is a mind that works for you, not against you, a mind that propels you toward the life you want. Replacing old beliefs with empowering thoughts is not a one-time event, but a lifelong journey. Stay committed to this practice, and you will continually discover new layers of strength and potential within yourself. This mindset is the key to breaking free from limitations and living fully on your own terms. Chapter 17. Surround yourself with people who demand your best. The people you choose to spend time with have a profound impact on your mindset, habits, and overall success. Being around individuals who expect the best from you challenges you to rise to a higher level. These relationships create an environment where growth is not only encouraged but demanded. When you surround yourself with people who hold you accountable, your potential expands because their standards push you beyond your comfort zone. Those who demand your best are not just critics or harsh judges. They believe in your ability and are committed to helping you realize it. Their expectations come from a place of support and respect. This kind of pressure is healthy because it motivates you to develop discipline, resilience, and focus. When you know others are counting on your best effort, you are less likely to settle for mediocrity or excuses. Choosing your company wisely means seeking out people who inspire you through their own dedication and values. These individuals serve as role models by demonstrating what consistent effort and integrity look like. Their presence reminds you daily of what is possible when you commit fully. This influence often sparks a sense of friendly competition, encouraging you to keep up and even surpass your own limits. Accountability is a crucial benefit of surrounding yourself with high standards. When your friends, colleagues, or mentors expect you to deliver, you develop habits of responsibility and follow-through. You learn to prioritize your goals because you don't want to let them down or yourself. This accountability creates a powerful framework that supports consistent progress, especially when motivation wanes. Sometimes, being around people who demand your best means facing uncomfortable truths. These individuals won't allow you to make excuses or avoid challenges. They will call out complacency and push you to confront your weaknesses. While this can feel tough, it is necessary for genuine growth. Honest feedback is a gift that reveals blind spots and areas for improvement. Cultivating these relationships requires effort and discernment. Not everyone in your current circle will fit this role. Some may prefer comfort and easy agreement over growth and challenge. It's important to recognize when your environment is holding you back and to seek new connections that elevate you. This might mean joining groups, attending events, or reaching out to mentors who align with your aspirations. Mutual respect is the foundation of relationships that demand your best. These connections are not one-sided. They involve giving as well as receiving support and encouragement. You become part of a community where each person pushes the others to excel while celebrating successes together. This dynamic fosters trust and a shared commitment to continuous improvement. Surrounding yourself with high expectations influences your self-image. When others believe in your potential, you begin to believe it too. Their confidence in you becomes a mirror reflecting your strengths and possibilities. This positive reinforcement builds your self-esteem and empowers you to take risks and embrace challenges. It's essential to communicate your goals and standards clearly within these relationships. Sharing your ambitions invites others to hold you accountable and offer relevant support. This openness deepens connections and aligns expectations, making the push toward your best more effective and focused. Avoid toxic or negative influences that drain your energy or lower your standards. These individuals can undermine your confidence and distract you from your path. Protecting your mental and emotional space by limiting time with such people creates room for growth-oriented relationships to thrive. Learn to give constructive feedback as well. Being someone who demands the best from others fosters an environment of mutual growth. Encouraging honesty and accountability in your circle benefits everyone and strengthens bonds. This culture of high standards becomes a powerful source of motivation and resilience. Celebrate progress and effort within your community, not just results. Recognizing hard work and determination reinforces the value of persistence. It reminds everyone that growth is a journey with ups and downs, not just a final destination. This perspective helps maintain motivation and reduces fear of failure. Being around people who expect your best also sharpens your focus. Their standards help you prioritize what truly matters and avoid distractions. You learn to manage your time and energy wisely because you want to meet the level of excellence that is expected. This clarity boosts productivity and effectiveness in all areas of life. These relationships build mental toughness. When you are consistently challenged, you develop resilience and confidence in your ability to handle pressure. Facing high expectations prepares you for the inevitable difficulties on the path to success. You become stronger and more adaptable, capable of overcoming setbacks without losing momentum. Surrounding yourself with people who demand your best enhances your decision-making. Their perspectives provide valuable insights and help you see blind spots. You learn to make choices based on long-term growth rather than short-term comfort. This wisdom contributes to more strategic and effective actions. Your environment shapes your habits and mindset more than you realize. By intentionally choosing to be with people who push you to excel, you create a fertile ground for personal development. This intentionality transforms your daily actions and mindset, making success not just a goal but a natural outcome. The energy you absorb from those around you influences your motivation and attitude. Positive, high-achieving individuals bring enthusiasm and determination that are contagious. Their presence can lift your spirits and inspire you to keep going even when things get tough. Building a network of high expectations is a long-term investment in yourself. It requires courage to seek out and maintain these relationships, especially if it means stepping outside your comfort zone. However, the rewards are immense. Accelerated growth, greater confidence, and a deeper sense of purpose. Remember, you become the average of the people you spend the most time with. Choosing wisely is one of the most effective strategies for transformation. When your circle demands excellence, your potential expands beyond what you thought possible. Embrace the challenge of being surrounded by those who expect your best. Let their standards fuel your ambition and discipline. This environment will stretch you, sharpen you, and ultimately help you become the person you were meant to be. Chapter 18. Live today like it decides your whole direction. Every single day holds the potential to change the course of your life. How you live today shapes your future, setting a direction that builds momentum toward your goals or pulls you off track. Treating each day as if it decides your entire path creates a sense of urgency and focus that pushes you to make choices aligned with your highest purpose. It means living with intention and responsibility because the small actions you take now add up to the life you will live tomorrow. Approaching your day with this mindset demands that you take ownership of every moment. No task or decision is too small to matter. The way you handle your morning routine, your work, your interactions, and even your rest contributes to the trajectory of your life. This perspective removes the temptation to procrastinate or act carelessly because you know that each day is a brick in the foundation of your future. Living today with decisive purpose means setting clear priorities. You cannot do everything, so focus on what truly moves you forward. Identify the activities that align with your goals and values and commit to them fully. This focus guards you against distractions and time-wasting habits that steal your energy and dilute your progress. This mindset requires strong discipline and self-awareness. You need to know what matters most and be willing to say no to things that don't serve your growth. Each no to distraction or comfort is a yes to your future self. The way you train your attention today builds the habits and character that will carry you through challenges and opportunities alike. Living as if today decides your whole direction also means embracing responsibility for your results. You cannot blame circumstances, others, or bad luck if you stay stuck or fail to move forward. Every outcome is the product of your choices and effort. This truth is empowering because it puts control in your hands, but it also calls for honesty and accountability in how you spend your time and energy. This approach encourages mindfulness in every action. Being present helps you catch when your focus drifts or when you slip into habits that don't serve you. Mindfulness allows you to adjust course immediately, rather than letting small missteps accumulate into setbacks. It transforms your daily routine into a series of conscious steps toward your goals, viewing today as decisive fuels motivation and urgency. When you understand that what you do now has lasting impact, you naturally prioritize effort and excellence. This sense of importance pushes you to start projects, have difficult conversations, or make changes you might otherwise avoid. The weight of your choices becomes a powerful motivator to act with purpose. Living with this urgency also helps overcome fear and hesitation. When the stakes feel high, you realize that waiting or doubting wastes precious time. You develop the courage to take risks and move forward, despite uncertainty. This willingness to act creates momentum that builds confidence and opens doors to new possibilities. Reflection is a vital part of this practice. At the end of each day, review what you accomplished and how your actions aligned with your goals. This reflection provides clarity on what is working and what needs adjustment. It reinforces your commitment to living intentionally and keeps your future direction clear. This mindset fosters resilience. When setbacks occur, you don't lose sight of the bigger picture, because you know each day is a new opportunity to redirect your efforts. You learn to view challenges as temporary obstacles rather than permanent failures. This perspective keeps you moving forward with determination and optimism. Living today like it decides your whole direction also means valuing your health and well-being. Physical and mental energy are essential resources for sustained progress. Taking care of your body, getting rest, and managing stress are investments in your ability to perform at your best every day. Neglecting these aspects undermines your capacity to live intentionally. The people you interact with daily influence your direction as well. Choose to spend time with those who support your goals and challenge you to grow. Meaningful connections inspire you to stay committed and offer support when you face difficulties. Building a strong network aligns your environment with your purpose. Gratitude enhances this mindset by keeping you grounded in the present while appreciating progress. Recognizing what you have and what you've achieved fuels positive energy and reduces the temptation to compare yourself to others. Gratitude shifts your focus to what you can build on today, rather than what you lack. Time management becomes a critical skill when living with this perspective. You plan your day intentionally, breaking your goals into manageable tasks and scheduling focused work periods. This structure helps you maintain consistency and avoid overwhelm. It ensures that your energy is invested where it matters most. Living today as if it decides your whole direction creates a strong connection between your present actions and your future outcomes. This connection turns vague dreams into concrete plans and passive hopes into active pursuit. It makes your journey visible and controllable. Ultimately, this mindset empowers you to take charge of your life every day. It transforms ordinary moments into powerful opportunities for growth and achievement. You become the architect of your destiny, building it brick by brick with purposeful choices and focused effort. This way of living demands courage to face reality honestly and make sometimes difficult decisions. It calls for discipline to maintain focus amid distractions and temptations. It requires patience to understand that lasting change takes consistent daily work. But the reward is a life directed by your own hand, rather than by circumstance or chance. By committing to live each day with the awareness that it decides your whole direction, you align yourself with success, fulfillment, and meaning. You cultivate habits that serve your highest goals and build resilience for the challenges ahead. You shape a future that reflects your deepest values and greatest potential. Every morning brings a new opportunity to move closer to the life you want. Treat it as sacred and vital. Make choices that your future self will thank you for, Live with clarity, intention and passion, because today truly matters. Your destiny depends on what you do now. Chapter 19. Act with courage when fear tries to take over. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that can stop you from moving forward. It often arrives unexpectedly, gripping your mind with doubts and what-ifs that can feel overwhelming. When fear tries to take control, the natural instinct is to retreat or freeze. But real growth and achievement require something very different, acting with courage even when fear is loud and persistent. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward despite it. The moment fear shows up, the mind floods with scenarios that exaggerate risks and magnify potential failure. These thoughts can feel very real, making it hard to take action. Understanding that fear is a natural reaction designed to protect you helps put it in perspective. It's a signal, not a stop sign. Recognizing this allows you to separate the emotion from the reality and make decisions based on reason and purpose. Choosing courage means stepping into discomfort willingly. It means acknowledging fear, but refusing to let it dictate your actions. This choice is not easy, especially when the stakes feel high or the unknown is vast. But courage builds with each small act of defiance against fear. The more you practice acting despite fear, the stronger your resolve becomes. One way to cultivate courage is by preparing yourself mentally before fear arises. Visualize facing the challenge head-on and succeeding despite anxiety. This mental rehearsal creates a sense of familiarity and control. When the actual moment comes, your mind is less likely to panic because it has already been conditioned to cope with the situation. Breaking down intimidating tasks into smaller steps can make fear less overwhelming. Focus on one action at a time rather than the entire challenge. Each completed step reinforces your ability to handle fear and builds confidence. This incremental progress fuels momentum that carries you through moments of doubt. Remember that courage is not a reckless charge into danger, but a measured response. It involves assessing the risks realistically and then deciding that the potential benefits outweigh the fears. This balance of logic and bravery ensures that your actions are both bold and wise. Support from others strengthens your courage. Sharing your fears and goals with trusted people creates a safety net of encouragement. Their belief in you can counterbalance your own doubts and provide motivation to keep going. Sometimes, just knowing someone else expects you to be brave is enough to push past fear. Fear often whispers lies about your abilities and worthiness. Courage confronts these lies with truth. Remind yourself of your past successes and resilience. Reflect on challenges you have already overcome. These memories are proof that you are capable and strong even when fear tries to convince you otherwise. Taking action in the face of fear rewires your brain. Each time you act courageously, you build new neural pathways that make bravery more natural. Over time, the habit of courage replaces the habit of avoidance. This transformation changes how you respond to challenges fundamentally. When fear threatens to take over, grounding techniques can help regain control. Deep breathing, focusing on physical sensations, or shifting attention to the present moment reduce anxiety's intensity. These tools calm the nervous system and create space for conscious choice, rather than reactive avoidance. Acting with courage also means accepting that failure is part of the process. Fear often grows from the desire to avoid failure or judgment. Embracing failure as feedback rather than defeat reduces fear's power. Each setback becomes a lesson that moves you closer to your goals. Courage is fueled by a clear sense of purpose. When your why is strong, fear loses its grip because you are driven by something bigger than your doubts. Clarifying your values and goals creates motivation that sustains courageous actions over time. Consistency builds courage. Facing fear repeatedly in different situations strengthens your mental muscle. The first steps are the hardest, but persistence makes bravery easier and more natural. Over time, courage becomes an integral part of your character, not just a momentary effort. Self-compassion is crucial when acting with courage. Fear can trigger harsh self-judgment or shame when you hesitate or struggle. Treat yourself kindly, recognizing that courage is a process filled with ups and downs. Encouragement from within sustains you when external support is limited. Learning from role models who exemplify courage provides inspiration and guidance. Studying how they faced fear and took action offers practical strategies and hope. Their stories remind you that courage is attainable and that others have walked the path before you. Courage grows in an environment that challenges you but also provides safety. Create a space where you can take risks and make mistakes without harsh consequences. This supportive context nurtures bravery and experimentation, helping you stretch beyond your limits. When fear feels paralyzing, committing to just one small action can break the freeze. Moving even a little shifts your state from victim to actor. This shift generates confidence and reduces fear's intensity, making the next step easier. Acting courageously rewires your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who faces challenges head-on, rather than someone controlled by fear. This new self-image influences future decisions and behaviors, creating a positive cycle of growth. Courage fuels resilience. When you act despite fear, you develop the strength to bounce back from difficulties. This toughness enables you to persist through long-term efforts and setbacks without losing hope or focus. Choosing courage means embracing uncertainty. Fear thrives on the unknown, but courage accepts it as part of life's journey. By stepping into uncertainty, you open yourself to new opportunities and growth that fear would otherwise block. Fear will never disappear entirely, but courage makes it manageable. Instead of waiting for fear to vanish before acting, use courage to move forward anyway. This approach turns fear from a barrier into a motivator and teacher. Each courageous act builds your story of strength. These moments accumulate into a powerful narrative that shapes your mindset and identity. Your history of bravery becomes a source of confidence and inspiration in future challenges. The practice of courage is a lifelong commitment. It requires ongoing effort to recognize fear, choose action, and learn from experience. This dedication results in a life lived fully, with purpose and authenticity rather than avoidance and regret. Ultimately, acting with courage when fear tries to take over transforms your relationship with yourself and the world. It frees you from the chains of doubt and opens the door to your greatest potential. This bravery is the foundation for meaningful achievement, personal growth, and deep fulfillment. Chapter 20. Keep choosing who you want to become daily. No one becomes their best self by accident. You don't stumble into strength, discipline, or confidence. These are the result of a choice, a quiet personal decision made day after day. Who you become is never a one-time transformation. It's a commitment you must keep renewing, especially when life tests your will to keep going. Some people make the decision once and expect it to carry them for years. But that's not how growth works. You have to wake up and decide again. Who am I going to be today? What do I stand for? What am I no longer willing to settle for? And then you have to live the answers, not just think about them. The truth is, every day gives you the chance to stay the same or become something better. And while staying the same might feel safe, it quietly traps you in patterns you said you wanted to escape. Comfort becomes the enemy of your future. Familiar routines become cages dressed as habits, and unless you keep choosing to evolve, you slowly disappear into a version of yourself that's far below your potential. But when you treat each morning as an invitation to grow, you stop being a prisoner of your past. You stop being a follower of your mood. You take control of your identity, one decision at a time. This decision doesn't need to be loud or dramatic. In fact, it usually isn't. It's found in the details of how you carry yourself. It's found in the way you respond when things don't go your way. It's found in the way you choose discipline over convenience, responsibility over excuses, purpose over distraction, and most importantly, it's found in how you show up when nobody's watching, because that's when your real character speaks. That's when the person you've been building either rises or disappears. Becoming who you want to be means refusing to act on autopilot. It means staying conscious of your words, your energy, your decisions. You can't wait until you feel motivated. You can't hope that the right mood will just find you. You have to create it by taking action. You have to ask yourself every day, what kind of person am I choosing to become through these small actions? Because every message you send, every task you complete, every time you choose focus over distraction, you're casting a vote for the person you want to be. And the more votes you cast, the more solid your identity becomes. People think change happens all at once, but real transformation happens silently, invisibly, beneath the surface. You'll make choices today that no one will notice. You'll keep promises to yourself that no one will clap for. You'll do the right thing when the wrong thing would be easier, and no one will see it. But you will. And that's who matters. That's who you answer to. Because no one else lives with the consequences of your choices like you do. No one else knows the weight of the promises you've made to yourself in private. And no one else can choose who you become for you. You'll be tempted to let one day slide. You'll say, it's just today, I'll do better tomorrow. But those are the moments that count the most. Because the day you feel like quitting is the day your old self tries to reclaim control. It's the day the part of you that wants to stay small shows up loudest, and that's when you must choose again. Choose who you want to become, not who you've been. Even if it's hard, even if no one understands, even if the results take time to show. Especially then, the process is slow. It's not glamorous. There's no final version of you waiting to arrive. There's just the next version, stronger, wiser, more grounded. And that version only becomes real if you choose it daily. That means forgiving yourself quickly when you slip. That means staying committed when the excitement wears off. That means continuing forward even when you doubt if it's working. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. And consistency comes from clarity. When you know who you're becoming, you stop negotiating with distractions. You stop giving in to every urge. You start aligning your choices with a deeper purpose. People will try to pull you back to who you used to be. They'll remind you of your old habits, your past mistakes, your previous doubts. But you're not required to be who they remember. You're not trapped in anyone's version of you, not even your own. You can let go of the narrative that no longer fits. You can rewrite your identity, not once, but every day. That's your power. That's your freedom. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't need approval. All you need is a clear answer to the question, who am I becoming today? When you commit to this kind of daily decision, you stop chasing motivation and start building momentum. You realize you don't need to feel ready to act. You need to act to feel ready, and over time, that momentum builds into confidence. Not the loud kind, but the steady kind, the kind that shows up in how you carry yourself. The kind that says, I'm building something real and I won't quit just because it's hard. That's what choosing your identity each day creates. A quiet strength, a focused mind, a grounded purpose that doesn't get shaken by temporary challenges. You're not here to repeat who you've always been. You're here to evolve. You're here to push the edges of your limits. You're here to build something with your life that reflects your deepest values. But that only happens if you decide today to take a step toward it. One disciplined hour, one focused decision, one moment of truth where you say no to your past and yes to your future. That's all it takes to begin again. Not once, but every single day. No one is going to build your future for you. No one is coming to make you the person you want to be. That work is yours, and that choice is made in silence, in solitude, in ordinary moments. The only question that matters is, will you choose it today? Will you wake up tomorrow and choose it again? If you do, something changes. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Quietly, patiently, relentlessly. Until one day you look in the mirror and realize you've become someone you're proud of. Not by accident, but by choice.